Somali markii aan yaraa reer miyi baan ahaa geel iyo ari iyo baan maqayn waan ku noolayn noloshu marra way wacnayd oo marka roobku ku da'o oo wacanta marra abaar baa jirta oo yar adagtay kadib anigoo hal boolla ah ee cadan lay keenay cadan waxaan joogay muddo 6 sano oo ku weynaaday baasaboortaa ka qaatay kan bacdana waxaan soo galay igl koob iyo lixdankii baan iglan soo galay Cardiff waxaan u doortay waa meeshii nin madow oo England bas soo galay meeshii ugu horreeyay weeye ninkii ugu horreeyay mana Soomaali buu ahaa from 18 something like that marka waa meeshii ugu horreysay Soomaalidu ba degtay Cardiff sida aawadeed ayaan u doortay inaan Cardiff dego.
It was my grandfather who came to Cardiff in 1908 as a seaman. He spent most of his life in the sea, and he met my grandmother, who was from Ireland herself, and half Irish and half Brazilian. They got married in 1924 and had their first child in 1925, who was my father, Ibrahim to Allah. This is my father in Somalia, in a place called Facweyn. This is him again, most likely much younger than this other one. And this was in Cardiff. My dad, he used to be a member of a band, and that is his band playing in Cardiff. And he also was a seaman, and that's him being an electrician and on the ship. And here, if you can see it there, it's my grandfather there, to Allah Muhammad. That's the first man of my family who came to Cardiff. I came to Cardiff in 1990 to join my dad here in Cardiff. And I think you could imagine coming to a country where you do not speak the language of this country. And the biggest problem was communicating with my father, because my father did not speak Somali. He only spoke English and Welsh. And his children are coming down from Somalia to join him here, and we don't speak the same language. So we are forced to pick up the language as quickly as possible, so at least we could understand within our family before we go out and understanding and speaking with other people.
waxaan doortay markii aan familiga waan kaciyo Soomaaliya waan kaciyo Kenyankii deetana waxaan doonayaa in England keeno iise waxaba ahaa marka xaggan Soomaalida iise ahaa laakiin anigu waxoogaa difficult ahaad bay ahayd deetana waan soo dhoofiyey familiga aqal baan iibsaday au iibiyey waan keenay familigii wallaahi iska fiican Soomaalidu iska shaqaysan jirtay iska fiicnayd dadku dad xun maaha wada la qofkii laakiin Soomaalidu dee waxay yaqiineen aniga adeerkay wuxuu ku dhintay Argentina intuu halkan tegay markab raacay yaa xanuunsado markii uu ku dhinto 1921 kii uu ku dhintay adeerkay
1958 bishii March 1958 kii baan soo galay halkan Eagle. isla markiiba muddo yar dabadeed waxaan u dhoofay wadda meesha neebiga rakiibta ingiriiska meesha jibaaha ilaa aan ku ritaayiray 85kii meesha neebiga ka shaqaynay Cardiff markii aan imay inkastoo aan nin dhalinyaro iska ahaadoo aan iska jeclaa qurbaha shaqo badan ma jirin laakiin waddan iska qabow oo dee aan markaa dagaal iyo waxba jirin buu ahaa anigu markiiba baddaan u dhoofay xeebta ma aan joogin mar uun holiday aan ku imaado mooye baddaan markii ka dego mid kale raaci jiray markaa waddan iska qabow oo lacagtu ma badnayn la qaadan jiray laakiin waa waddankaa iska jiib waxa weliba iska ahaayeen oo oo iskaga filaayeen dadka wuxuu qaadan jiray markaa.
I guess everyone looks back at their childhood with nostalgia, don't they, really? But yeah, for me, it was a brilliant place to grow up. At the time, the docks were in decline, so the docks really was our playground. So when I mean the docks is where the ships used to come in. So what is now Cardiff Bay in the 80s was quite a derelict place. So we used to go over there and light fires, climb buildings, smash windows. Yeah, it was a wonderful childhood. Really, we didn't have much, but we didn't miss out on anything.
My grandfather is full Somali, and my grandmother is half Malay, half Irish on my dad's side. And on my mum's side, my grandmother is half Spanish, half West African, and her dad is full West Indian. So a totally big mix of different nationalities. I always knew I'd marry a Somali. I don't know why. I kind of looked at the races, and thought, you know what, I didn't have an identity when I was younger, and I always wanted my children to have more of an identity than I did. So, marrying a Somali was just part of that, of my identity. And obviously, my daughter was born. He talks to her in Somali. She'll grow up knowing the culture and everything to do with the Somalis and the history. And this is what I wanted for my children, something that I didn't have.
My forefathers came from across the world, so one came from the Philippines, one came from Barbados, and two came from Norway to settle in Bhutan at the turn of the 20th century. So they all married Welsh women. My great-grandparents were all sailors, and then my father was also a sailor as well. So yeah, I grew up a sailor's son. To be honest, I didn't really realise how mixed Bhutan was until I went to high school. And then I realised, that's the kind of first time I heard people being racist and all that kind of the wider things that go on in society. But my family is mixed. All my friends' families were mixed or are mixed. So yeah, we didn't really, I didn't even notice.
berigii hore baa beri hore oo aanan niman anagu elaan jirin iyo Cardiff iyo lagu dagaalamay oo haddaan iyo madaw loo dagaalamay laakiin bagaas beri fog bay ahayd Soomaalida beri hore long time.
I guess everything changes, don't it? And as I imagine you speak to a lot of people and they've said, oh, they ain't like it used to be. But nothing is like it used to be. So I was thinking about this. In about 88, things started to change because crack came into the area. And then crack kind of started destabilizing families and kind of messing with the community. And then at the same time, in about 1990, refugees started coming from Somalia. So obviously, straight away, the makeup of the community started to change as well. And also, at the same time, there was something called the Cardiff Bay Development Corporation was set up. And their remit was to kind of redevelop the old docks into what is now Cardiff Bay. So that kind of created additional pressures on the community as well.
When my mum was growing up, she always tells me stories about, what would happen and, you wasn't allowed to go a certain part out of docks because if you did, then you would get attacked by people who lived outside of docks. For instance, a lot of racial tension that went on. Docks, you didn't have to leave docks. It had a butcher's, it had a fish shop, it had everything that you needed to. Do you know what I mean? You never had to leave. Like now, obviously, we have Grangetown, Riverside, all the surrounding areas. But when my mum was younger, you wouldn't be able to leave docks. You had to stay in docks, otherwise you would get attacked, sometimes killed, because of your ethnicity. And the white community never entered docks. They would enter where the ships were because of the bars and things, but they would never, ever enter into the estates.
Originally, that wall was built part of the train line, but I guess now it serves a different purpose, doesn't it? To my mind. So I live literally opposite the railway, and to me it serves as a divide between the new Cardiff Bay development and Bhutan. So Bhutan is kind of penned in by the railway line, the River Taff, the sea, and another railway line which divides Bhutan from Cardiff town centre. So we're kind of penned in, and sometimes we feel socially excluded, metaphorically excluded, and physically excluded. But then other times I think people kind of like that as well. They like the comfort and the safety.
Markaan waan jeclaado iminkana waan jeclay waddankayga iminkana bishii 9 seerkii baan ka yimi iminkana waan doonayaa inaan ku noqdo mun baan holiday u tago waayo halka aad ku dhalataa meel walba aad ka jeceshay
markaan muddo joogaba asaqawa marka hore shaqayn jirayna markaan muddo shaqeeyaba waa tegi jiray iminka daqudheedana markaan muddo sanadii bar joogaba mar baan holiday tagaa ka soo noqdo baasboortka iyo waxay waa waddanka laakiin dee dhalashadaydu waa Soomaali dee waxaan u joogay halkanaan anoo yar inagoo ku gaboobay oo beesha ku qaataa oo dee waddankeennii waad ogtay shaqan ma jirto beeshan ma laguu siin maayo marka dee meesha aad ku noolaan karayso baad dee jooga waddankunbaad bay ka mid ahay iminka oo baasboorkiisa haysta oo ku noola.
How do you see the future of the dogs in Bhutan?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't think we're going to be there forever. I think in about 20 years' time we'll go. Only because if you look at on a map, we're basically in a circle and everyone's building around us. All redevelopments are going on and they're not including us in anything. And I just don't think we'll be there unless the community all comes together. You know, every nationality within the Bhutan community need to come together and work together to make something better for them.